starting to get a lot of plants out into the garden, so I figured I'd take this opportunity to show you guys how to plant if you laid cardboard out last year and you still have cardboard in place. It's still early, so we're not going crazy out here. The broccolis have been out for about 2 or 3 weeks now, the pak choys, but I do have an abundance of artichokes. So I put one artichoke out yesterday, got some sage in. So I'm going to demonstrate how to plant through cardboard with this artichoke. So all my beds last year in the fall, I put down a layer of cardboard. I covered with any organic matter I could possibly find. We got some grass clippings, some hay, some leaves, but the cardboard still remains intact. It's broken down a little bit, but for the most part, it's still intact, and we're going to have to cut it to plant in it. So what I did here for this artichoke is all I did was cut a hole in the cardboard and dig out my hole right where the cardboard was. I left all the cardboard around it intact. And just to demonstrate how good this makes your soil, I have really bad clay, rocky sand soil, and just look at what my dirt looks like just from sitting under the cardboard all winter. That's real nice. You'll start out making your hole, dig out enough soil, test fit it with your pot. You want to plant it only as deep as it is inside the pot. And if your garden is still fresh like mine, brand new, no-till, your soil might not be that great right now. We're lucky in this spot that the soil looks fantastic, but what I still do anytime I plant with this technique is I take a mixture of 50-50 potting soil and chicken compost made from the chicken run. I have a lot of videos on my chicken composting system. The chicken compost is amazing stuff. I use it in my soil blocks and my plants love it. I like to go in and just give the hole a light coat, the bottoms and the sides, mix it up with the native soil a little bit. Before I take this guy out, I like to go ahead and give him a final drink inside the solo cup just to saturate all the soil, get those roots nice and moist. Like I was saying earlier, it's kind of early out here. It's early May in Zone 5B. Usually we wouldn't be planting stuff like this till June 1st. At least I wouldn't. But the weather's looking really good for the next 3 weeks as far as I can see out in the weather app. The lowest temperature I'm seeing is 46. It was 43 last night, and the artichoke I planted is doing great. It's a good way to test it out. Don't put all your plants out at once. Maybe put like 1 or 2 out, and if they do good and you have lower temperatures, sun beating on them, then you know it's probably safe to put the other ones out. Honestly, I don't know why I grew these. They were taking up so much room in my grow rack. I have dozens and dozens of tomatoes and peppers up there, and I have a lot of other plants I need to pop up because the chicken compost works so well. So it's not like I started early. It's just I gave them too good of conditions to work with, and now I got to deal with it. I hate potting up. And you can see this guy is ready to get out of this solo cup. The bottom leaves are starting to get a little droopy and crunchy on here. These things just cannot survive that long inside solo cups. These artichokes have deep tap roots, so it's probably pretty root bound, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll go ahead and pop her out. Real nice root system on it. A little bit root bound, but it'll be fine once it gets in the dirt. Here's something a lot of people don't do. They say don't mess with the roots, but I like to come through and just tickle them a little bit just to get them loosened up. Free them up from being root bound in that solo cup. Then I'm going to go ahead, slip her in the hole. Depth still looks good. I like to come in first with the native soil around the very bottom of it. If you find any rocks or anything, I get those out. Come through with a little bit of the potting soil in the chicken compost mix, more native soil, and I kind of just layer all that as I go. The whole time I'm keeping the plant as straight as possible and lightly packing in the soil. You don't want it too loose because once you start watering this, you don't want your plants to sink. And you don't want it too tight because you want these roots to be able to expand. When you're transplanting and you have damaged leaves at the bottom like this, they're not doing the plant any good. So I'm just going to cut those off. Just going to leave them right on the surface. Give her a nice drink, a little bit at a time. I want this water to go down fully before I give it more. You'll notice sometimes that when you water it, the soil sinks. That's good. You're getting rid of air pockets, but it also might be necessary to come back and add a little bit more soil on top. So I'll add a little bit more soil, hit her with some more water. We're gonna let this water settle. And for the final step here, you got a couple options. You could just take the mulch you pulled to the side to make your hole through the cardboard and move it back. But since I have them, I have some relatively fresh grass clippings here. I like to take those and just put them around the base of the plant. I want to leave maybe a 1 or 2 inch gap around this plant, but fill everything else in. These grass clippings are going to help feed organic matter and nitrogen into the soil, as well as potassium. Grass has a lot of good stuff inside it. Some people are worried about the grass because they think it's going to form a real thick mat. As long as you don't go nuts with it and you leave some airflow in there, you'll be completely fine. You can see here where I planted out this sage, I did the same thing. These have been sitting here a little longer, so they're not as fresh as these. When I'm planting plants next to each other, I like to tie everything in. So I'm going to finish in the gaps here in the mulch. So this whole section is going to be mulched off. That looks pretty good right there. Got my little gap of spacing. Now I don't have to worry about watering this every single day till it gets established. The artichoke over there was put in last night, went through some 40-degree temperatures, and it actually looks a lot better than it did in the solo cup. It's very happy to be in the dirt. No transplant shock. If you guys haven't decided to go no-till and just use the cardboard and heavy mulch method, it's not too late. You don't need to cover it with compost and plant into the compost. You can cover it with the cardboard, make the holes, fertilize exactly where you're planting instead of wasting all the money amending everything, and plant right through the cardboard. Works very good. Everything I got out here is loving it. I've even got peas coming up through holes in the cardboard that I drilled and sowed peas through there. Figured I'd make a quick video on this because it's a question a lot of people have. How do you plant through cardboard? It's a very exciting time right now. Everything's finally starting to grow. The garden's already putting out a lot of fresh food for us. Thanks for watching.